Welcome to Brain Body Fitness. Brain Body Fitness is a toolbox of inner resources and simple, enjoyable movements that can be done anytime, anywhere. These methods help to improve our awareness, our brain-body connections, our balance, coordination, and mobility, helping us to move with more ease and joy. I'm Dana Lupke, and this is my friend Philip. He's obligingly divested himself of his soft tissue so that we can see the architecture of the human body. From time to time, he'll be assisting in the classes. So, before we begin this short demo class, I'd like you to do two things. First, get some water, a glass or a bottle of water that you can drink, and take off your shoes. Our feet are very important. They're our understanding. And we're going to spend some time giving them a little love and care. So, I hope you all have some water, and you can be in stocking feet. You don't have to take off your shoes, but you'll be ready to go then. So, every Brain Body Fitness class begins with something called PACE. PACE stands for Positive, Active, Clear, and Energized. It's really about being very present and ready to learn. So, first, let's do some noticing. Just notice how you're sitting in the chair. Are you balancing easily? Is the chair holding you, or do you have to add extra effort? Is there any tension in your body? Any pain, any stiffness, soreness? Notice your breathing. What is that like? Is it easy and deep, or is it more shallow or restricted in some way? Notice if there are any emotions that you're experiencing. And lastly, what's going on with your thinking? What's rolling around up there in your head? So, we'll do that noticing again at the end to see if PACE has caused any change. So, we begin with the water. So, I invite you to take just a sip of water and swish it around in your mouth and really taste it before you swallow it. That's important for two reasons. One is that water molecules are the perfect shape to pass directly through the cell walls, which means some of the water will go directly from our mouth to the brain, which is what we're concerned about in Brain Body Fitness, to hydrate the brain so that it can function at its maximum potential. The other reason is because Brain Body Fitness works when we do things consciously. So when we swish the water around in our mouth, feel it, taste it, we're telling our body that it needs to prepare itself to receive this wonderful gift. So, cheers. Take another sip if you like. Water, in terms of our brain, is not about drinking liters and liters of water during the day. It's more about sipping water regularly through the day. So, the next step in PACE is to do something we call brain buttons. We're using the acupressure system that the Chinese discovered thousands of years ago. So, 2 points just below our collarbone. So you can see the collarbone, hopefully, over there on Philip. I'm not used to the way this camera works. So here's our collarbones, and on either side of our sternum, here, are 2 little depressions, and we're just going to slide our thumb and some fingers into those depressions, give them a good rub, and at the same time, we're going to hold our hand over our navel. It's important whenever we do these acupressure points in Brain Body Fitness that we use both hands because we're making a circuit. We want to complete the circuit. We're dealing with the electrical system of the body. So as we do this, we can add our eye movements. So we track the eyes from side to side as if we are scanning the horizon. This is a signal to our nervous system when we don't see tigers leaping at us or rhinos ready to charge, that, things are not dangerous, so we can actually relax And then we're ready to learn or do whatever we want to do without the stress of putting our nervous system on alert mode. And we always switch hands. Again, tracking the eyes from side to side. The third step of PACE is to do something called cross crawls. Now, I don't know if I've said it already, but most of what we do in Brain Gym, which is part of Brain Body Fitness, can be done standing, sitting, or lying. Although I'm going to invite you to stand because we all seem to be spending a lot of time sitting in front of computers these days. But if you want to do cross crawls sitting down, you simply touch your hand to the opposite knee, lifting that knee slightly. And if it's hard to actually lift the knee, you can just kind of put some pressure between your hand and your knee. Feel that connection. Okay? And for those of you who want to stand, we're going to touch one hand to the opposite knee. What we're doing is stimulating both sides of the brain at the same time, which is helping to create that connection across the corpus callosum from the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere of our brains. We can also, if you really want to involve your core, which is really great for our muscles, using those broad muscles of the back and also our psoas muscle that connects our upper to our lower body, we get that diagonal connection from one hip to the opposite shoulder as we move. And there are lots of variations. We can reach and cross behind. Okay, so the last part of PACE is something called hookups, and this can also be done standing, sitting, or lying. To do it standing, you cross your legs, same thing. No matter where you're doing it, you cross your ankles if you're sitting down or lying down. You're going to take the arm that crosses on the top should be the same arm as the leg that's on top. So in this case, I'm using my left arm and left leg over the top. I'm going to point my thumbs down, lace my fingers together, and rest my hands on my sternum. We're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouths. And as we breathe in through our nose, we're going to touch the tip of our tongue to the roof of our mouth. And as we exhale, just allow the tongue to relax into the bottom teeth. And then inhale and touch the tongue again to the roof of the mouth. It nicely fits into that space behind the top teeth, just behind the gums there. And just notice what happens as you continue to breathe deeply in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can close your eyes or open them as you wish. So when you feel your energy change or the tension in your body change, maybe some relaxation, you can place your feet flat on the floor, bring your fingertips together and just rest them in your lap. Take a couple more deep breaths. Now at this point in the class, I would be asking you to share what you noticed when we did hookups, but hopefully you noticed some relaxation, some sense of calm. I find this to be true whether I'm dealing with a kindergarten class or my seniors in classes that I've taught around the province. So you could just notice to yourself if you found that doing hookups provided any change in your mind-body state. And now, let's just notice what all of PACE did. We'll go back to the noticing we did at the beginning. So notice what it's like sitting in the chair. Is the chair supporting you, or are you holding yourself up? What do your muscles feel like? Is there tension anywhere in your body? Pain, stiffness, soreness? What is your breathing like now? Any different from the way it was before? And then, what about those emotions? If you were experiencing any emotions, what is it like now? And lastly of all, what about your thoughts? Is there any change in the kind of thoughts that are or aren't rolling around in your head? So, now I'm going to ask you all to stand up and just take a walk in your space, wherever you can walk. Notice what that's like. You can notice the same thing. First of all, what are your body sensations? What do your feet feel like on the ground? What is your balance like as you move? Are you aware of any tension, stiffness, or pain in your body? What is your breathing like? And then we're going to look at what our balance is like. So put your feet under your hip sockets. Okay, so now we can take a look at Philip here a little bit and notice where those hip sockets are. So a lot of people think their hips are out here. Well, maybe we do call those our hips, but the hip joints, when I'm talking about the hip joints or the hip sockets, those are right here. So if you notice, here's the center of the pubic bone. Here's the hip joint. Here's the edge of the hip. So the hip socket is actually 1/2 of the way out from the center of the body to the side of the body. So it's kind of the quarter marks in from the hip. Okay, so we're going to put our feet under those points. And for some people, this may feel a little strange. You may be used to standing with your feet wider apart, but we're going to work on finding this stance because actually this provides more efficient movement. It's more in line with the architecture of the body, with the way our body was designed to move. And we are built for walking, and this actually makes walking easily. And as you start to balance those muscles, you'll have more control, and in the end, you'll have more stability. So, with our feet under our hips, let's just notice our feet on the floor, the pressure of our feet on the floor, and then shift your weight onto one foot until you feel more and more pressure on that foot until maybe you can lift your foot off the floor and notice what your balance is like. And if you're ready for a challenge, close your eyes. And then shift over to the other. Notice what that's like to balance on that leg. Maybe it's different from on the other side. Maybe it's easier, maybe it's harder. And then, if you're willing, close your eyes. Okay? Don't do anything that feels unsafe to you. However, when we close our eyes, we're actually checking our vestibular system. So, brain-body fitness is about learning through movement. Dr. Dennison, who developed the brain gym, his famous quote is, Movement is the door to learning. And our balance system is actually called our vestibular system, from the Latin word vestibule, which means doorway, threshold. And that's right here, inside the inner ear. So it's really interesting. It's one of the first senses in the body to develop. It develops in utero, and it's absolutely essential to our survival, our ability to balance. And that is the door to learning. So we're now going to, with that noticing in mind, sit back down and do some activities that will help with our balance and hopefully provide some coordination for walking as well. So the first thing we're going to do is something called our gait points. So our gait points are in between the metatarsals. So Philip, come back here. So, do you know that you have as many bones in your feet as you do in your hands? Do you think of your feet like you do your hands as being that flexible, that capable of incredible movement? They are, and not only are they incredible with all their bones and their ability to move, but they hold us up all the time. So we look at the whole structure of the feet in this class, but right now we're just going to deal with our metatarsal bones here, because we're going to slide our fingers in between those bones. So you'll feel the little grooves there, and we're just going to lightly stroke along those bones. Okay. So once again, we're stroking along the metatarsals, and we're also going to rub along the outside of the feet. We've got a few extra points we're rubbing there, but that doesn't matter. We're getting all of our gaits at the same time. Give them a nice rub. And then we're going to do a little extra foot massage. We're going to press in, pull apart, and hold along the arch of the foot. So just go along the arch of the foot. Push in with your thumbs, pull apart, and hold. Just go all over wherever you feel like it. Press in, pull apart, and then hold. Press in, pull apart, and hold. Press in, pull apart, and hold. So we're just going to do that one foot, and we're going to take a walk again. And notice the difference between the 2 feet. Oh boy. What is that like? Do you find any difference? Okay. So let's sit down and do the other foot. I don't want to leave you one-sided here. So the gait points we do by stroking along the ridges between the metatarsals and rubbing along the outside of the feet. Along the bunion of the big toe is the essential one. And of course you can also do one at a time. I had a woman in one of my classes who was in her 80s, and she informed the class that if they're having trouble reaching their feet to do this, that she always did it in the bath. So, then we're going to do our lengthening along the underside of the foot. Once again, push in, pull apart, and hold. You don't have to use your thumbs. You could use your fingers. Whatever works. Push in, pull apart, and hold. 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 So there's no set pattern for doing this. Just explore all along the undersurface of the foot. Now, before we get up, we're going to do another technique here. So this is part of a whole series I do called navel radiation, but we're just going to do one series of connections right now, and that is from our feet to the top of our head. When we trace these connections, we always go through our navel center, because that's a very important energy center in the body. It's where we received all of our nourishment when we were growing in the womb, and we still have an energetic connection with the center of our body. So we're going to start with our feet and just give them a nice squeeze. And then start working your way up, squeezing the ankles, squeezing all the way up your knees, your thighs, up to your navel. Continue working your way right up the sternum. You can give a little rub if you like. Come up to the top of your head. Maybe give a little rub. I have a friend who calls these the dragons in the forest, playing around. And then we can go all the way back down. You can do any way. You can stroke, doing little raindrops, going all the way back down to our feet. Let's do that one more time. Or maybe this time I'll maybe smoothly stroke all the way up to the top of my head. Feel that connection, maybe a little pressure, all the way back down through the navel, along the thighs and the shins. A nice squeeze to the feet. So we're going to use that connection to get up. So in order to get up, I'm just going to turn sideways. I want you to think of two opposing forces, like have one of these elastic bands here. You know, if you are going to stretch your body and create more space, you can't just pull at one end or the other. Okay? You have to. The stretch is only going to come from opposing energy directed in opposing directions, opposite directions. Okay? So we're in a bent shape here, and we want that shape to stretch out. So we need to both press into the ground and reach with the top of our head. So just get up once. Notice how that is for you. And now let's do this a little consciously. First of all, let's just reach with our heads. So you're going to have to fold from those hip sockets that we looked at before. Fold from the hip sockets and imagine your head shooting forward and up. Let's go back down. And I forgot to say what I really wanted to offer as an image. One thing would be like a balloon that's going forward and up. Or you could imagine yourself being drawn up to the sun or something. So just feel your head being really light like a balloon and your head just floating forward and up. Was that easier? Now, we're going to use the opposing force of pressing into the ground with our feet. So continue to allow your head to float up and at the same time press into the ground with your feet. That will give you stability to stand. Okay? And then take a walk and notice what it is walking now that we've done both feet and we've energized the connection from the feet to the top of the head. So notice if you can feel that connection every time you step from the bottoms of your feet to the top of your head. And can you make that connection lengthen? So as you come to stand, can you feel like that elastic that I just showed you? Can you feel your feet pressing into the ground, your head reaching up into the sky, and a nice length happening in your body, some space happening in your body. And let's try that balancing again. Moving over to one leg. Now, how tall can you stand on that leg? Can you stretch on that leg like that blue stretchy band I showed you? From the bottom of one foot to the top of one head, feel that length and see if your other foot can become lighter and if you can balance, and maybe close your eyes if you like. Ooh, that was a lot easier for me. And then go over to the other side, feeling the pressure of your foot into the floor, the lengthening of your head like a helium balloon. You know how the string, if you hold a string with a balloon with helium, the string stretches very long. Yes, it's straight, absolutely straight. Okay, and as you're over there and you feel all the weight of your body in one foot, and the other one is just then light, and you can maybe pick it up. If you can't, if you need a little balance still, this is some skill that can be built up over time. And then, if you like, close your eyes and notice how that is. And come back to 2 feet. So we'll do one more thing for balance. This is another brain gym activity, and this is called balance buttons. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to find the mastoid bone. Let's see if I can bring him forward enough that you can see this bone. It's quite obvious on Philip. There we go. Okay, so you can see right behind his ear, there is a bone there. And we're just going to slide there's a little groove under the bone. We're just going to slide our fingers, 2 fingers behind that bone. Thank you, Philip. And of course, we want to create a circuit. So the other hand is going to go again on our navel. And we're just going to hold that nice little indentation behind the mastoid bone. Take some nice deep breaths. We're holding our fingers outside of the inner ear balance mechanism. So we're like, it's like we're knocking on the door of our vestibular system and saying, wake up. If you like, you can try to balance even as you do the brain buttons. And then we are bilateral, so we always do it on both sides. Holding the other side and the navel at the same time. Nice deep breathing. And if you like, let's try that shift from one side to the other again, and balancing, and see if it's any more secure now. Okay. So, something you can do anytime, anywhere. Brain buttons. Let's just do a few more cross crawls to end, and just notice if they feel any different now. Notice more the connection of your feet to the ground, the shifting of the weight from one side to the other, the pressure of your foot on the ground. And what about that connection as you cross from one side to the other? Head easily floating up. like a helium-filled balloon. So there we have it, a little sample of brain-body fitness. And if you'd like some more of this, classes are going to start in January. And you can find information on my website, languageofmovement.ca. That's one word, languageofmovement.ca. Thank you very much.